What are they? Oogonia are formed. Oogonia are formed. Within each fetal ovary, no more oogonia are formed after the birth. These cells start dividing and enter into prophase 1, enters into prophase 1 of the meiotic cell division, and gets temporarily arrested at this stage called primary oocyte. What are they called? Primary oocyte. This primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa and is called the primary follicle. So it's surrounded by granulosa cell, a layer of granulosa, and is called as primary follicle. What is that called? Primary follicle. The primary follicle, a large number of primary follicles degenerates. A large number of primary follicles will be degenerates during the phase from the birth to puberty. Therefore, at puberty only 60,000, what number? 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicles, if you see, they get surrounded by more layers of granulosa. They get surrounded by more layers of granulosa cells. Okay, and a new theca and are called as a secondary follicles. What are they called? Secondary follicles. Secondary follicles soon transforms into tertiary follicle. Secondary follicles soon transforms into a tertiary follicle, which is characterized by fluid-filled cavity that is called antrum. What is that? Antrum. The theca layer is organized into an inner theca interna and an outer theca externa. It is important to note that if you take the attention that the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicles grows in size and completes its first meiotic division. It's an unequal division resulting in the formation of large haploid secondary oocyte and a tiny first polar body. In the diagram I will show you how it will look like. Secondary oocyte retain bulk of the nutrient rich cytoplasm, and after that, now finally we are not very certain about this, that the tertiary follicle further, if you take, changes into mature follicle. This mature follicle is called as Graafian follicle. What is that? Graafian follicle. Secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called secondary oocyte. If you carefully see the secondary oocyte, okay, a new membrane called zona pellucida, surrounding it. Now, Graafian follicle ruptures to release the, if you take the Graafian follicle, it ruptures to release the ovum or secondary oocyte. Ovum is nothing but the secondary oocyte, and from the ovary by the process called ovulation. Now here, a diagrammatic representation I will show you in the diagram. You can see here the follicular stages: primary follicle, okay, this is secondary follicle, Graafian follicle, okay, it ruptured and releases the ovum. Graafian follicle contains secondary oocyte, that is nothing but ovum that is released outside. The dead remains of Graafian follicle transforms into corpus luteum, which produces a female hormone called progesterone. What is that called? Progesterone. Okay. After this, you can see the diagrammatic representation of oogenesis. This is oogenesis. What is that? Oogenesis. Okay. Imagine oogonia undergoes fermatosis differentiation, produces the primary oocyte. First meiotic cell division in primary oocyte produces the secondary oocyte, which later on produces the ovum. Okay. Whereas in the spermatogenesis, spermatogonia undergoes for cell division, produces the primary spermatocytes, secondary spermatocytes, and spermatids. Spermatids finally produces the spermatozoa. Okay. You can see the chromosome number at puberty. Spermatogonia diploid in nature, having 46 chromosomes. Primary spermatids diploid in nature, having 23 pairs of chromosomes, nothing but 46 chromosomes. Secondary spermatocytes, they have only 23 chromosomes, which means they are haploid in nature. Spermatids, haploid cells, spermatozoa even haploid cells. Except spermatozoa and ovum, remaining all cells in our body are diploid in nature. They are all in a diploid in nature. That is very much a very most important point which you have to remember. After this, menstrual cycle that I will discuss you in the next video. Until stay tuned.